And then the message that was imparted to me was there is nothing to see here because there is nothing left. So that was really interesting.
Welcome to the MJ7 podcast, where we dive into the world of remote viewing. With refined techniques from past agency, military, and institute programs, our team uses extrasensory perception to go beyond the five senses. Join us to explore fascinating data, our favorite projects, expand our consciousness, and inspire you to tap into your own sensory potential.
Welcome back to the MJ7 podcast. Tonight we'll be diving into one of our favorite topics, the first human mission to Mars landing at the Jezero crater in the year 2032. Join us as we explore this triple-blind project that was later uncovered by the MJ7 team. But before we begin, let's take a look at the project.
We have all 7 members here tonight. How's everybody doing this evening?
Great.
Wonderful. Good. Sweet. All right. Let's have some fun. Alrighty. So the last project was just presented to the audience. Let's go ahead and get into it. Tonight we have Gianni going up first. Let me go ahead and bring up your image for you, Gianni.
Okay, so I don't remember what happened. I didn't got a lot, only few items. It started from the meditation. Susan's face showed up, actually, our MJ7. Next, she's the granddaughter of President Eisenhower from the 50s. And energy or message was linked to her recent Facebook posting warning the AI being useful as long as we're not losing our souls and we stay human. Then I had that being just turn its face from me, like supposedly was watching me, and then turn its face, and has a very long head. Well, the head is very long. It was turning away. We do get actually more than occasionally different beings that are watching us. Then I saw that face. It looked like almost like a mask around the eyes. I couldn't get anything about that face. It just showed up. Then there was this tall stone column, like a pillar, that showed up, worn out at the edge on top. We done some research, and we found quite a few pillars actually on Mars. Then it continued on with a sphere that had that shape with that ring around it. It was very heavy, feeling of being very heavy, like a planetoid advancing to the right. Shape was very smooth, and it felt like it was plastic, or a material was very smooth but heavy at the same time. Then I got these two faces, not too sure what to make of. The left face is a man with a very long hair, hats kind of like those Turkish hats. Had more maybe a old medieval look, beard, and then the other face showed up. A different male, was short hair, full bearded, and in the background there was that melody that was playing by the guitarist Testosterone. Melody name was Fusion, which is actually a very, very nice melody. And that was pretty much on this one.
Alrighty, let's go to Stacy.
Okay, so I think how I'll approach this is I'll show you I'll say what I saw, but then I will speculate on what I think it is now that we know the target. Okay, so if we start at the very top, now that I know what the target is, I would assume, no, at the like the very, very top. It looks like Mars to me. It could be the crater and then a planet in the background. And then below that, at the time I drew those circles, there was energy coming out of them. So that could indicate something on the spacecraft en route to Mars, perhaps. I saw various crustaceans and pillars, and I kept drawing the pillars, sometimes curved, sometimes with a jagged edge. The shape below the pillars, that's actually a cliff. I know it doesn't look like it, but that's what that drawing is. And then I saw like the topography of the area. There's two very sharp mountains, and then yeah, so in the middle there was just something of interest, something round, circular. Now that we know it's a crater, that's probably what it is. And then if you go over a little bit to the left, I looked at it again, and then you could kind of see a little bit more detail on that. And then you had mentioned in the target to talk about any kind of radiation shield or anything, and that could be the symbol I drew. To me, maybe that's like a radiation shield or something. I don't know. That I just drew that. I drew some sort of round orb with energy coming out of it. And for some reason, I saw a rose with light emanating around it. And I saw the pillars again with a reflection indicating a water source. So that was the first part. And then if we look at page 2, so here, to make this easy, Briggs, what if we just start on the upper left and then just kind of go from there? So upper left, I saw a green couch with fabric surrounded in rubble. And that could indicate a lost civilization, something that may have been there in the past. I also saw either cauliflower or a forest. And so, take your guess on that. If it was something we were bringing up to Mars, like food supply, or if there was really a forest there at some point. And then you can almost see the past. So down below, there's like two cliffs with a bottom and trees. So that to me looks like maybe what it used to look like. And that's a river bottom at the bottom there. And then it's hard to know exactly because when I view, I see like from an aerial view. So I just saw a bunch of little somethings. These could be people. It could just literally be the landscape and rocks. Not sure. And then it got a little interesting. I saw a little bit more detail on what the landscape looks like. There were jagged objects, something rocks or rubble in the middle. But then I saw a black garbage bag in a hole. And that could symbolize again, maybe an ancient lost civilization that's just buried or it's gone. Then I saw some sort of reddish pink material in a container. I don't know what that is. And then if you keep kind of scrolling over to the right, some very jagged, pointy mountains or just triangular shapes. And then what was interesting on the left, I saw kind of what Mars may have looked like a long time ago. And then on the upper right, maybe what it looks like now. You see the same two cliffs, but now there's like rubble in the middle instead of trees and a river. And I think the rest of it, all the little shapes just could be what it looks like on the ground. Lots of rocks. The one thing I did hear though is this is the end. I heard those words. And that about sums up my part.
Thank you very much, Stacy. And we have Susan up next.
Hi, this is exciting. The first thing I saw was two different views of pillars. One was on like the corner of a building with a pointy roof. And the second one was pillars again, but it was dark in the background, like it was in looking inside to the darkness of the building. So I know there have been some findings of some structures that might not be natural and might be made by an intelligent species. So maybe this is part of that. Then the other one at the top, which we see often, we don't really know what that is, but we see it often. We're trying to decide what that might mean, as it's often seen. Then this could be like a mountain, or it could be something else. We often get that actual symbol as well. Then I also saw a pyramid, and I know that there have been shapes of pyramids on Mars. Pictures taken of that. Then I saw like a mountain range, which I know there's mountains there. And the next thing I saw was, which could have been a crater, but I actually interpreted as a vortex or a black hole or a well. But as we now know, there was a crater there. This also could have been a crater. Then my person there that I saw was kind of, the person that I saw there was kind of shocked with her arms up. And then I saw a hat. I don't know what that means. Maybe he'd lost his hat. No. The next thing I saw, I did see this was like an energetic hole or a vortex with a round circular object coming out. I think a couple of us saw something similar, so that I think that one is actually very important. I did see some animals. I saw a rabbit next to it like a stick. I saw a frog and a bird. So I'm really not sure what they mean. Maybe somebody else can tell me. I saw could have been a window or a hat with a cross in the middle. And then, interestingly enough, we wanted to know what the reaction of people were. And the reaction of the people were like cheering with their arms up. So like, yay! So that was my depiction of the reaction to the people. Then I saw water coming out of a pipe. This might indicate that there was water once on Mars, or I'm not sure if there is any water right down in the depths of Mars. There still could be, I'm not sure. But that was a water picture. The thing there with the four circular dangling objects, I thought was like a light fixture looking thing, but that is kind of a mystery. So we'll move on to the next one. This one here was a hole, and around the outside it was like energy. It was kind of fuzzy, which I'm thinking could have possibly been the radiation shield around an object. So that was that one. The next one I saw was water going through some rocks. Those round things on the side are rocks, and there's water flowing through. Then I did see cliffs, and I have seen pictures of Mars with cliffs there, and I thought at the bottom was water, but it could have just been the terrain instead of what I thought might have been water. And last but not least, we often see this shape at the bottom. If anybody out there has an interpretation for the symbols that we get, I'd be happy to hear that as well. And that's it.
You know, listening to a podcast today, there was a scientist, I can't remember his name, but he made a joke because of the discovery of water they found on Mars. He said, well, at least we won't have to ship water to Mars. So that's kind of cool. I like the pipe right there. It shows that, you know, we're going to be able to build some structures there and get a water system going. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Susan. And up next, we have Kat.
Hello. Can we go to the other page to start?
Yeah, you got it.
Great. So the first thing I saw when I dropped in was prayer hands, but the way I drew them too, it also looks like a pyramid. So either way, there is certainly a pyramid on Mars, we believe. Then again, I always or often have an eye or something I perceive as viewing me while I'm viewing. Sometimes it's very significant, and when it is very significant, I will make note of it. And this one was very Egyptian, as I drew, kind of like the Eye of Ra. Next, I saw a sphinx, and when I viewed it, it was kind of fuzzy, but it was definitely a sphinx. So it's interesting when you see the sphinx on Mars, it's certainly a bit fuzzy looking, not unlike the way I viewed it in my session. I wanted to drop into my feel, like what it felt like in wherever I was, and my feeling was alone or isolated, which was interesting. Then I saw a mountain range or a mountainous sort of terrain with a big sloping, a definite slope. So that would certainly be the crater, I feel. Next, I saw a metallic bowl with a sort of ornate design on it, and I felt that was sort of like an artifact type of thing. And then I heard the phrase nails in a coffin. So, I mean, that's a little bit ominous. I don't know if something might go wrong, or it could be a warning of some sort, but anyways, I definitely heard that phrase. Then I got a little different perspective. I feel like I went to the launch area. So if we're going to Mars, it would probably be SpaceX. So I saw a boardwalk, a long planked boardwalk with a rocky path on one side and then water on the other side. And I could smell the sea as well. It was very bright with a big sunny day. I saw an eagle head, which in my view, I perceived to mean American, USA, actually. So that's interesting. Also, and my feeling was nervous, and then I heard flying high. And then we had a break, but when we came back, I also saw a long wall of computers next. And as I was doing all of this, I felt like I wanted to say it was like a NASA sort of scene, but I didn't understand if I was creating a story or if I was receiving information. So I'm always trying not to create. So I didn't say that it was NASA, but that was definitely going on in my head. So that's pretty cool, actually. Then I saw bricks, really up close. So I didn't know if it was a wall or a house. But it's interesting because they feel if they use the sand or dust on Mars and mix it with salt water, that they'll have a really strong material that'll be stronger than steel. So that was kind of an interesting view. I saw blackness and heard Armageddon, again, a little bit ominous. I felt, I had a feeling of free falling through space. Then I saw a space arm. So we're definitely in the right target this time. At the beginning of my view, or during the meditation, I saw a plane or a rocket. And again, I get a lot of information anyways, and I try to disseminate what I'm creating versus what I'm receiving. And so in this, sometimes I don't write things down, but then they'll come back to me a second time in my session. And when they do, I know it's important. So I wrote it down that I saw a plane or rocket. And last, I believe I saw some sort of military-looking vehicles, tanks on a rough terrain with craters. So that would be Mars.
That's awesome. It's so cool that you're the last word on your page is the word craters.
I know. I know.
That is really good. Thank you so much, Kat. That was awesome. All right, Matthew, you are up next.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get as much stuff as usually, but I do feel that most of the images I got could be significant to this. The first thing was I saw in like black space this doorway, and this doorway had two sword blades blocking the doorway. I felt that this was like some kind of a barricade, like through the door was something that we weren't supposed to see or weren't supposed to have access to yet. I had a pretty strong feeling about that. So that was the first thing. Second, there was, as you can see here in this image, two beings on a seesaw. I got the feeling they were children. I kind of drew them as these faceless things, but I got the feeling they were kids on the seesaw. This is the one piece of my whole view that I haven't really been able to put together yet. But yeah, that was that. Then there was this orb or this sphere, and I find this interesting because I think almost every one of us got some kind of an orb or sphere. I felt that, so this thing kept reappearing during my view and during the meditation. It was almost getting on my nerves because I was trying hard to discern and to not just draw every little thing that came to my head, because I'm trying to make sure that what I'm picking up, is coming from that field and not influenced by other things. So yeah, this kept coming back, and I got the feeling that this orb or sphere was possibly some being that wanted to be known. I don't know what exactly it is, but again, because we all got it, I felt that it could be significant to this. After that, this is a part that I definitely feel is connected. As you can see, there's two guys, and they're analyzing this map. On this map, it's not an earthly landscape. There's an unknown landscape. Definitely had a strong feeling of that. And as I was viewing this, there was this strong smell of chemicals. I couldn't say exactly what they were, but that was something that I really noticed. And yeah, they seem kind of bewildered by what they're seeing there. So after we, after the target was revealed, it became kind of obvious that this could be part of it. Whether they're planning, this was a view of them planning to go there or trying to figure out some things they've discovered. I don't know, but I feel that it was one of the more significant things I got there. After that, we had a short break. When we came back, I spent quite a while in meditation before I got back to receiving images. The first thing I got was this like spiked image that you can see there. I got the feeling that this was a tool used for maybe some kind of excavation or some kind of project. So that could very well pertain to something that they might be doing on Mars. After that, this strange image here, I got the feeling this was something to do with some kind of piece of equipment, whether it's, I don't know, some kind of sine wave thing or something you'd see on an oscilloscope or some kind of test equipment. Some kind of graph-like signal is what I take this as. So maybe that's something that they were using or will be using. After that, this wasn't anything I could draw, but I wrote it down. There was this was also like a sense and a feeling more than it was a visual thing of somebody like snatching something real quickly, and not necessarily somebody, but something. It was a more of a energetic motion that I was picking up on. So afterwards, we were speaking about it, and we thought that maybe, maybe that could have been symbolic of just being too hasty about venturing to Mars or whatever kind of project was going on. So possibly a symbolic thing. Finally, there was this energetic substance spreading across the ground, and I kind of saw colors, changing colors, but I couldn't get the feeling, or I couldn't tell for sure what the substance was. So I don't know if it was, again, an energetic thing, or if it was, some kind of liquid or elemental thing, but definitely a substance spreading across the ground. And that was pretty much the final thing. And like I said, I feel that most of these images could be significant and could pertain to this for sure.
All right. Thank you so much, Matthew. Does anybody have anything they want to add to Matthew's remote view?
I do.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Susan.
Okay, I'll go. It was to do with the children sitting on the seesaw, because this, to me, you have to trust the other person, because you can bump the other person off or hurt them. And you also, it's a balance. So I think this could mean trust and balance.
Yeah, it's a good
Awesome.
observation.
That's really awesome.
I was going to say the same thing, not the trust part, but the balance. It reminded me when you said the seesaw, I visualized the landing, and the craft has to be perfectly balanced when it lands.
Oh, wow.
And listening to you, Matthew, it almost feels like a timeline. Like they landed, you saw an orb, there was a otherworldly feeling, and then there was analysis, and then the dust rose. So it was pretty cool to listen to that.
Yeah, I know it's weird. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Matthew. That was fantastic. All right. Coming up as our closer tonight, we have Chris.
This session was very interesting for me because I ended up seeing a lot of the same things that everyone else did. If we start up in the upper left-hand side, or top of the page anyway, what I first viewed was rings inside of rings from an aerial view, and that felt very much like the eye of the Sahara, or like some kind of geographical feature. And then I saw what I believe to be snow-capped mountains, but I'm not sure if Mars has any kind of ice-capped mountains. I believe that it does, but I mean, in that mental landscape, you're just kind of trying to interpret it, or interpret. Let me say that again. In that mental landscape, you're just trying to interpret fuzzy images. So it really could be terrain features that look like snow-capped mountains, but it was definitely mountains. I did see a scorpion. Kat had seen an eagle, and in astrology, the eagle is the higher self of the scorpion. So maybe one of our viewers might be able to illuminate us on what they think the scorpion, the eagle symbolism is, because there seems, to me, in my heart of hearts, it feels like there's some sort of connection there with that imagery. There were orange, yellow, and blue stripes. I didn't really see them on anything, but they came as 3 separate bands of color. And then, oddly enough, and I keep seeing dogs, and I don't know if this is just my ego. popping in there or not, but I saw a woman with a border collie, and who knows what that could symbolize, but it was prominent enough for me to write that down during the remote view. Of course, we see a cicada over here on the left. And then at this point is when I started to experience more of a astral body type experience. And I saw this formal pottery, cups and bowls together. They were ivory white with very ornate gold trim. And there were several of them. I just tried to draw one cup from memory. But it didn't seem like something that you see every day. You know, it wasn't wedding type pottery or anything. It seemed very out of place. So, almost, I don't know, I want to say Turkish, but it was definitely very alien feeling, if you will. Just way out of the norm for how it was decorated. And I couldn't convey that through this drawing. Then I saw a gaslit or candlelit lantern. And it was glass on all sides. It was sitting with a bunch of really old books. Again, this is when I was in this astral body viewing phase. Usually when I go into those spaces, it feels very tunnel visiony, and it's hard to make out. It looks like I'm trying to look through everything through fog. Then we had a break. And when we came back, that's where I saw the ancient cuneiform or Sumerian writing in. It just came to me as in white light on a black background. And then I was standing in what felt like a underground, like a basement-y type of space. It was just infinite pillars, and they were connected by archways in all angles. It went out in every direction. And I know that quite a few people in the group had seen pillars, and I believe arches as well. So that's really interesting. I don't know if that was a structure that may have been on Mars before. It'd be interesting to see what our viewers think. I'd like to hear that. And then the message that was imparted to me was there is nothing to see here because there is nothing left. So that was really interesting. And if you look at the cuneiform or Sumerian writing and follow Zechariah Sitchin, he claimed that there was a war on Mars at one time through his translations of the ancient Sumerian texts. That's my take on it.
If there's intelligent life out there and they're building structures, my guess would be probably a pillar and an arch might be universal. What do you guys think?
Sure.
Sure.
I have something too to add to Chris's.
Sure.
So the cicada that you saw, when you look at the drawing, the way you drew it, it looks just like what they call the golden flyer, the pre-Columbian. It's some ancient alien guy, Giorgio always wears it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It looks
Giorgio
just like that.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah, that could have very well been something like that for sure.
Yeah, so I noticed that Susan picked up on a lot of water stuff, and I think quite a few of us got some elemental images. I noticed that her pyramid there that's on the top left, that also looks a lot like the elemental symbol for air. You know how on the elemental pentagram on the top left, I think usually it's that's the symbol for air.
That's it.
She was trying to figure out what what that might be. I just it just dawned on me while we were doing this.
That's definitely the symbol for air.
This may be overreaching, but if a atmosphere needs to be established, there was an idea of establishing that with trash. And I forget who it was that saw the trash bag.
Yeah.
That might have been in the pit. That may very well be. You might be seeing, decomposing trash to create an atmosphere.
Yeah, it seems as though we've got a lot of information from scientists, remote viewers, the old Upanishad writings. And I think a lot of people have come to the conclusion that maybe there was some type of life on that planet at one time and they had some type of nuclear war, So when you guys were viewing this, when Chris said there's nothing left here, I swear to God, I pictured Mars just desolated.
Well, there's, I think it's an isotope that is only found when there's been a nuclear explosion that they've located on Mars. And it's interesting that we associate Mars with the god of war. There's plenty of Zechariah Sitchin's, if you follow that line of thought, his translations claim that there was some kind of war that happened.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
And then I wonder, we wanted to know how the landing went. And I wonder how the landing went. I kind of feel like with Matthew, there's a message in our remote viewing that they really need to keep balance in everything they're doing when they're going there. It seems like they can't, overlook anything, that they should, quadruple check everything. I don't know how you guys, that seems to me to be the message that we kind of pulled out of this one. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Well, I feel like I had a couple of warning messages, Armageddon, doom and gloom, sort of nails in a coffin. So I feel like there could be a mistake, or there should just be a lot of caution.
Terrence McKenna said that we won't shoot for the stars until there is a fire in the madhouse. And what he meant by that was that we won't go to other planets until the something's going on with the Earth. We've got to go there, right? And if you look at the state of affairs right now, and with Elon Musk, wanting to colonize Mars, I mean, it's starting to kind of makes a little bit of sense, I mean, here we are with threat of nuclear war, looming, unfortunately, and that could just be a warning message. I mean, those are all possibilities in future timelines, right?
Yeah. And we all imagine we're going to get there on one of those rockets, right? Which I think most people can agree the technology used is probably going to be something a little different.
Oh, for sure, those primitive rockets.
They'll get there in 30 minutes.
And surprise, by the looks of it, they're gonna find, when they're gonna land in Mars, they will find breathable air and water.
That'd be pretty amazing. That would be really something. I hope to see it in our lifetime, you guys. I really do. That would be pretty cool.
I hope to see it in our lifetime, and not by way of a fire in the night.
Yes, through exploration and science.
Unfortunately, we're kind of living during a time where we're really being affected by these Mars impulses. So it's not really in our nature right now to not be hasty, to try and do something like this. So maybe that's what some of us picked up on in this particular view.
We want to thank everybody for watching our podcast this evening. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope we inspired you as well to expand your consciousness as we are. And we will see you next time. Later.
Peace.
MJ7 uses a triple blind method for integrity. a team member picks a coded project from a database unknown to all. The tasker, blind to the project, instructs MJ7 to describe or draw based on the code, testing MJ7's psychic abilities in their purest and honest form. Thank you for joining us. Did you spot something in our remote viewing sketches that we missed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Remember, keep questioning, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.